Are you feeling devastated and heartbroken and distraught by the news of the hospital that has been bombed in Gaza, killing over 500 people? Then please keep watching. This video is for you. Hi, this is Paul, your EFT guy and emotion coach. Like you, I'm just feeling devastated by the news of the hospital that was bombed in Gaza, killing more than 500 people, many of them children. And I have put out previous videos in relation to the war right now between Israel and Hamas. The first video was about worry and anxiety. The second video was about anger. And I thought that today would be necessary to put out a tapping video on feelings of sadness, grief, loss, any word that you may want to use to describe how you are feeling regarding what happened with that hospital bombing. So again, this is going to be a tapping video. I'm going to be using emotional freedom technique, and please feel free to follow along, because this will help reduce any of the intensity of the feelings that you are having. When doing EFT, it's important to identify the level of intensity of whatever the emotion is that you're feeling, whether it's grief, sadness, feeling devastated, whatever way you want to describe it. So on a scale from 0 to 10, just go ahead and take a guess at what your level of intensity is. For me, obviously, it's going to be pretty high. It's probably up there like around a 9, if not a 10. And so once you've identified that, also see if you can find out where in your body you might be feeling this sadness or this grief or this devastation. It could be in your stomach, it could be in your throat, your chest, in the back of your neck. Just see if you can identify where you may feel it. If you don't feel your emotion in any particular area of your body, that's fine, don't worry about it. And before I start doing EFT, I have to create what is called the setup statement, which is what we're going to be focusing on. So for the purpose of today's video, the setup statement, for me anyway, is going to be, even though I feel heartbroken just thinking about the hospital that was bombed in Gaza and the hundreds of people who passed away as a result, I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. You can change the end of the setup statement if you just want to say, and I acknowledge that's how I'm feeling right now. You don't have to say I deeply and completely accept myself, but it's entirely up to you. Okay, so we're ready to go ahead and start tapping. So you go ahead and start tapping on the side of either hand, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to go ahead and begin. Please feel free to repeat exactly what I say or change the words so that the emotion you're having is the word you use. Here we go. Even though I am feeling heartbroken when I think about the bombing of the hospital in Gaza and the hundreds of lives that were lost, I deeply and completely accept myself and the way I'm feeling. And even though I am feeling heartbroken, and I feel it in my stomach, just thinking about the bombing of the hospital in Gaza and the hundreds of lives that were lost, I deeply and completely accept myself and the way I'm feeling. And even though I am feeling heartbroken, and I feel it in my stomach, just thinking about the bombing of the hospital in Gaza and the number of lives that were lost, I deeply and completely accept myself and the way I'm feeling. Now I'm going to go to the top of the head. Please go ahead and follow along. Just feeling heartbroken. Go to the inside of your eyebrow. Just feeling really heartbroken. Go to the outside of the eye, just feeling heartbroken. Underneath the eye, just feeling heartbroken. Below the nose, just feeling heartbroken thinking about the bombing of the hospital in Gaza. Above the chin, just feeling really heartbroken. And then the collarbone, just feeling really heartbroken. And then below the arm, either arm is fine. Just feeling really heartbroken. After completing the first round of tapping, I need to go ahead and check in with myself to see if the intensity has fallen a little bit on the feeling of being heartbroken. And it has eased up a little bit. Obviously, it's still pretty high. And it's maybe around a 7. So, and of course, the intensity level can be completely different for you. Yours can still be up there like around a 9. And it just depends on how you feel and what you're focused on. But I'm going to go ahead and start another round of EFT. So please feel free to follow along and just start tapping on the side of either hand. Even though I am feeling heartbroken, when I think about the bombing of the hospital in Gaza and the hundreds of lives that were lost. And I'm feeling this in my stomach. I deeply and completely accept myself and the way I'm feeling. And even though I am feeling heartbroken, and I feel it in my stomach, just thinking about the bombing of the hospital in Gaza and the hundreds of lives that were lost, including children, I deeply and completely accept myself and the way I'm feeling. And even though I am feeling heartbroken, when I think about the bombing of the hospital in Gaza and the hundreds of lives that were lost, and I feel it in my stomach, I deeply and completely accept myself and the way I'm feeling. Okay, let's go to the top of the head. Just feeling heartbroken. Go to the inside eyebrow. Just really feeling heartbroken. Go to the outside of the eye. Feeling heartbroken about the bombing of the hospital in Gaza. Underneath the eye, just really feeling heartbroken in my stomach. Go below the nose, just really feeling heartbroken. Above the chin, feeling heartbroken in my stomach. Go to the collarbone, just feeling really heartbroken when I think about the bombing of that hospital. And then underneath either arm, 4 inches, just really feeling heartbroken. Now that we have completed 2 rounds of EFT, we need to go ahead and check in with ourselves again to see what the level of intensity is on the emotion or feeling is that you have. Again, for me, it was a 9, it dropped down to a 7, and now it's about a 5. And so just please go ahead and check in with yourself to see what you might be feeling and what the intensity is. Also, note that your emotions may have shifted. You may no longer feel heartbreak or sadness. You may actually feel outrage and anger, just thinking about the bomb that dropped onto the hospital and killed hundreds of people, including children. So if you want to shift the focus of the tapping to that, it's okay to do that because there is no right or wrong to it. Whatever resonates with you is what matters most. So for the purpose of the next round, let's go ahead and focus on outrage. Even though I feel outraged, just thinking about the bomb that dropped on the hospital in Gaza and all the hundreds of lives that were lost. And I feel this in my stomach. I deeply and completely accept myself and the way I'm feeling. And even though I feel outrage, and I feel it in my stomach, when I think about the bomb that was dropped onto the hospital, killing hundreds of people, including children, I deeply and completely accept myself and the way I feel. And even though I feel outrage, just thinking about the hundreds of lives that were lost when the hospital in Gaza was destroyed. And I feel this in my stomach. I deeply and completely accept myself and the way I'm feeling. Okay, I'm going to go to the top of the head. This outrage that I feel inside of the eyebrow, just feeling all this outrage side of the eye, just feeling outraged about that bomb that dropped on the hospital in Gaza. Underneath the eye, that bomb that killed hundreds of people, including children. Underneath the nose, just feeling all this outrage in my stomach. Above the chin, just feeling outraged. Collarbone point, feeling this outrage in my stomach. And then under the arm, really feeling outraged. Okay, now we've completed 3 rounds of EFT. And again, we need to check in with ourselves to see what is the level of intensity on the emotion that we are feeling. And again, I started off with heartbreak or sadness or maybe despair or whatever emotion you were feeling. And then after a couple of rounds, it shifted to outrage and anger as a result of all the hundreds of lives that were needlessly lost when that bomb dropped on the hospital in Gaza. But if you stayed with sadness, if you stayed with despair or heartbreak, that's completely fine. It doesn't have to be a specific feeling. It's whatever you feel, and that's what's important. So you've checked in with yourself, you've rated the level of intensity that you have. So let's go ahead and do one more round, and then we'll see where it takes us. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start tapping on the side of the hand, and please feel free to follow along. Even though I'm feeling outraged when I think about the bomb that dropped on the hospital in Gaza and killed hundreds of people, including children, I deeply and completely accept myself and the way I'm feeling. And even though I'm feeling outraged when I think about the bomb that dropped on the hospital in Gaza, and I feel this outrage in my stomach, I deeply and completely accept myself and the way I feel. And even though I'm feeling outraged, and I feel it in my stomach, just thinking about the bomb that dropped on the hospital in Gaza that killed hundreds of people, including children, I deeply and completely accept myself and the way I'm feeling. Okay, let's go to the top of the head. This outrage that I feel inside of the eyebrow, just feeling this outrage in my stomach. Outside of the eye, feeling this outrage in my stomach. Underneath the eye, just thinking about that hospital that was blown up in Gaza. Below the nose, thinking about all the lives that were lost, including children. Above the chin, just feeling this outrage. Collarbone point, just thinking about all those children whose lives were lost. Collarbone point, just really makes me feel outraged. We have now completed 4 rounds of EFT. And again, we need to check with ourselves to see what the level of intensity is on the emotion that we are feeling. So please ask yourself right now, just kind of look inside and ask, what is my level of intensity on how I feel? Now, I initially started with heartbreak, and then after a few rounds, it shifted to feeling outrage. And I could definitely do another round or 2 on the outrage, but I'm not going to do it on the video. I'm just going to do it after I finish this video. But if you still feel some intensity on whatever emotion you have, I'd like to encourage you to please do 1, 2, or even 3 more rounds of EFT to help regulate your nervous system so that you don't feel quite as charged about what it is you're feeling. I sincerely hope that you found this video was beneficial to you in some way. and that it has reduced the intensity of whatever emotions you might be feeling. And if you have any questions about the process and how to do EFT correctly, please feel free to reach out to me. Go ahead and leave a comment down below to let me know that you found this video was helpful to you. Again, this is Paul, your EFT guy, and I hope you have a good day.